Welcome back to another episode, and today we are going to talk about my top 5 favorite baits I like to use in the fall for bass fishing. But first,
it's got it. Oh, that's a pig.
these 5 baits are the top 5 fall baits for me. These will be in no particular order, and this is not me saying that you have to use these. And as always, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies, whatever. This is just the top 5 fall baits that I like to use. Okay, so starting off with Topwater. There's a whole assortment of Topwater baits that you can use in the fall, whether it's a frog, a Rebel Pop R, even maybe a jitterbug, whatever. But my favorite, hands down, is a walking bait. And this right here is the KVD Sexy Dog. It is their version of the Spook. And I feel like I have more success with a walking bait in the fall than I do anything else. I like to work these baits around down trees, rocks, laydowns, weed edges, grass lines, any type of cover. Especially during times like the early morning and the late afternoon when the bass are following the shad and feeding on them. I would stick with natural colors. Okay, like a shad, or if you don't have shad or a certain bait fish appearance, try and go with a bluegill color. Just try to match the hatch as best as you can. I like to fish topwater baits either on 30-pound braid or 15 to 20-pound test monofilament. Now, that's when I'm not in heavy cover. That's just when I'm in open water or casting around edges or the grass lines or whatever, where it's not too heavy. And the rods and the reels that I like to use for that, usually a 6'6" to a 7-foot medium with a high-speed reel, either a 7 reel or even an 8, an extra high, just so I can get that bait back to me faster. And that's just what I like to use for it. Up next, you have the lipless crankbait. Now, whether you call them a trap, a rattle trap, a vibe crank, no matter what you call them, lipless crankbaits have as many uses as they do names. I feel like I have the best of luck with a lipless crankbait when bass are relating to shallow water. And the majority of the time, that's going to be in the spring and the fall. That tight wobble that you get out of a lipless crankbait, I feel like that is really good for cooler water, in my opinion, between like 40 and 60 degrees. What would a lipless crankbait be without talking about fishing it around the grass? Some of the things I like to do with a lipless crankbait is I like to just cast it and retrieve it. I will fish it deeper with a yo-yoing technique. I will come up to a grass or a weed edge, pause it, rip it through it. There's a ton of different things you can do with these, and I've found they are really effective for a number of species. Largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, pike, perch, all kinds of different things.
Nice fish. All right, I'm going to get the release on this fish. That was cool.
Now, normally when I fish a lipless crankbait, I like to use, it's 10 or 12 pound test fluorocarbon, because obviously the fluorocarbon is going to get the bait deeper. And I like to use it's either a 7-foot, a medium power fast action rod, or something around that length, and a medium power moderate action rod. Just because I feel like those two rods are going to give me my best chances and the best hookup ratio with the bait. What do we have next? A spinnerbait. And let me tell you, a spinnerbait is a big key to bass fishing for a lot of fishermen, myself included. I love to throw a spinnerbait in the fall, especially because that spinnerbait is going to imitate a school of bait fish with these blades, okay? Now, if it's a windy day in the fall, you will see me throwing this a lot. About 90% of the time, I will throw a spinnerbait in either a white color or a natural color with silver or gold blades. And I cannot stress enough, in the wind, I like a spinnerbait more than anything. When it's overcast, it's cloudy, when the wind is howling, when it looks like it's about to rain, I feel like under conditions like that, when the bass want a spinnerbait, they want it. They smash it. You will catch a lot. If you are around a wind-blown rocky point with a spinnerbait, cast it out there. Try it. And I can almost bet that you're going to catch a fish on it. Now again, for the rod, the reel, and the line, somewhere around a 7-foot, either a medium or a medium heavy. The size of the spinnerbait, I use two sizes. I use a 3/8 and a 1/2 ounce, okay? Now once in a while, I will upsize to a 3/4. Once in a while, I will downsize to a 3/16. But the majority of the time, it's going to be a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce. And the reel, it's usually going to be a 6-gear ratio. Next up, you're going to have a jig, okay? Now, especially a jig with a trailer, because that jig is going to imitate a crawfish on the bottom. Any type of cover, docks, or rocks. I like to throw a jig. You guys see me use a Texas rig a lot, but like the fall, I like jigs a lot in the fall. Another thing is how versatile a jig is, okay? You can cast it, you can flip it, pitch it, you can punch it, you can drag it slow on the bottom, you can hop it, you can swim it back, whether it's a swim jig or a casting, flipping, whatever jig. The majority of the time, I will use like a Strike King jig, but there's actually new brands that I have friends that are showing me. Now in the fall, more than anything, I will opt for a jig with a rattle, or if it does not have rattles, I will add a rattle to each side, just because I feel like when the bass are going after those bluegill, those crawfish, stuff like that, that rattle is really going to help you catch them. I will either use a medium heavy power rod or a heavy power rod, and the majority of the time on that jig, it's going to be 17 to 20 pound test fluorocarbon. That's what I like to use. Now last, but nowhere near least, is going to be a jerkbait. But you guys know me, not just any jerkbait. The Megabass Vision 110 is my favorite jerkbait, especially the shallow, the regular Vision 110, which is going to go, I think it's like 3 to 6 feet. It's a 1/2 ounce in size. But if I'm using a jerkbait and I cannot get, or I do not have a Vision 110, I will also opt for a Lucky Craft pointer or some kind of jerkbait by Rapala. Those are really the three main ones that I like to use. Now, I'm sure you guys have all heard the saying, find the bait, find the bass. Now, one of the reasons why I feel like I have success with a jerkbait is because of the because of the suspending action on the pause, especially with this Megabass Vision 110. I have found that a jerkbait is almost perfectly going to mimic an injured or dying bait fish. That's why, you know, I like to make as long of a cast as possible, and I will not just reel it back. I'll make that cast, twitch my rod a few times, stop. Now on the pause, I will even sometimes wait. I will even wait, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 seconds, and rip it a few times, pause. Or speed it up and work it fast, you know, find what the fish want. I really feel like jerkbaits excel more than anything during the transition times, when the bass are going from deep to shallow. Now I know when you're talking about fall fishing, it kind of breaks down into early fall, mid-fall, and late fall, okay? But these were just 5 of the baits that I like to use, and I feel like that I have success with at different times of the fall. So do me a favor. and leave me a comment in the section below. What is your favorite bait in the fall for bass fishing? What do you guys like to use? You guys know I love reading your comments, and I'll respond to all of you. So do me a favor and drop that comment in the section below. And as always, thank you so much for watching this episode. I've been really busy with work. I think the weekend after this, I'm supposed to do a collaboration video. But anyway, hopefully that'll go good. Hopefully we have fun, and I will see you guys next time.
Oh, right there. I was burning it and he came back for it. What the heck? I was about to pick my rod up. Get up here, boy. Hold on a second. Next cast. Next cast with the lipless.